What's up, friends and fam? How you doing? This is Jamie Lewis, and I'm back with another video. This will be my last political video. The other day I posted a video and it went over quite well. I was surprised. I didn't even lose one friend, as you can see here. Incredible. I'm very, very impressed with you guys. I guess it's because it's my friends and family page, and what I'm seeing is very scary. Everyone is upset at each other. They're blocking each other, unfriending each other. It may not be necessary with what I want to show you guys. What I want to show you guys in this video is going to be, I think, very helpful. I want to talk a little bit about, like, put things in perspective, maybe. And I will do a little drawing now. I will try my best. Feel free to debate it in the comments if you'd like. You probably will. It's like a myth buster type of thing. If I thought I didn't lose any friends before, I might this time, because some people are not gonna like hearing this, okay? So let me just jump into, I think you'll get my drift. Let me just jump into the drawing, all right? Okay, thank you. All right, guys, so instead of doing left and right real quick, all right, just so we don't kill each other and go into civil war, we're going to talk this four-quadrant thing, okay? So left and right economically, free market, individualism versus collectivism, and then we're going to talk tyranny up here, and then we're going to talk libertarianism or anarchy down here. I want to make this quick, so I'm just scribbling. So what's really important for this is I wanted to explain that Hitler is up here, Stalin is up here, George Bush is here, Donald Trump is there, Obama was there, Bernie Sanders is here, Nelson Mandela is probably there, Noam Chomsky is there, Ayn Rand is here, Ron Paul is there, 50 Cent is there, Cardi B is there. Why am I putting rappers in the right-wing libertarian area? Because they talk about money all the time, survival, let's make some money, all right? So, of course, all of those lyrics, like, get money, you know, get rich or die trying. So not quite over here, but some rappers that were on the left spectrum are, for instance, Immortal Technique. He's very much into the teachings of Marx. So Marx actually was not as authoritarian as Stalin, but he's still very much over to the left. Now, what's very, very important, this will save lives, this will save you from getting angry at your friends and family, is, you know, we were talking about Donald Trump and Ronald Reagan over here, and Obama there, Biden over there. Look at this very small little area there. They got us fighting each other, and we're that close? That's a little crazy, isn't it? Oh, and also, how come Bernie Sanders is authoritarian? Jamie, what do you mean? I think he's like peace-loving hippie, right? So I will get into all of this. This is why we should not fight each other. It should be a beautiful thing, but it's not. Thomas Jefferson was down here on the left. Why? Because he didn't like Wall Street, all right? So our founding fathers, a lot of them were down there by. All right, so anyway, all right. So remember Ron Paul? He got into a fight at the Republican, well, he didn't get into a fight, but he was debating. I think it was on a debate stage, and you remember everyone booed at him. Why are the Republicans booing at Ron Paul? He's a Republican. Well, he had a very big difference between George Bush, who was passing mass surveillance and institutionalized authoritarian authoritarianism on an institutional scale, and Ron Paul is libertarian, all right? Less tyranny, more in that area, right? Dalai Lama is also here. That's very important to note. Why is Dalai Lama? He has this compassionate collectivism thing. So does Noam Chomsky. What is this compassionate collectivism? What the hell does that mean? And what is compassionate free market, right? Well, less government control over everything. So when you get into an argument with someone, for instance, I will, as a libertarian myself down here near Dalai Lama, I will get into an argument with MAGA, and I will get into an argument with people on the left who are more, like, for instance, Bernie, right? So anyone who's down here in the libertarian area will get into an argument. That's the arguments that are happening, but look at where everyone is, and everyone is kind of conditioned to support their person, all right? So someone who supports Obama will not get along with someone who supports Bush, although they're very, very close together. People on the left will accuse Donald Trump, who you might wonder, why is he more libertarian than Bush? because Bush did the Iraq War, he did mass surveillance, Obama continued the mass surveillance, he continued the drones. Bernie is also, you might not believe this, but he also a couple times, I think, voted for drones. That's going to put him further up than someone like Nelson Mandela, who is way down here in the libertarian spectrum, right? Again, this is pretty, I don't know, I spend a lot of time doing this. A lot of my friends were all in business, and I don't think they do this. They just spend time all day doing business, and then they have an opinion where it's just like, there's their opinion. They're going to be getting along with just, that's it, all right? They got their whole little happy meal of issues and stuff like that. And I'm not going to even get into solutions. I'm not going to tell you what I think we should do, but this will give you more of a perspective on how stupid it is when we all arguing with each other, because we're all very, very kind of close together. I mean, it's rare that you're going, why, this is another thing. Why are there no libertarians? Why is everyone up here saying the same thing basically, like, arrest him, like government, oh, that's good. Defending the Patriot Act, for instance, or defending mass distribution of wealth. Like, for instance, when you see comments like, all right, we got to tax these evil rich people 90%, and then they'll get it. That's going to put you more authoritarian. If you like it or not, if you're like, forget your guns, Australia and UK are great, all right? Sorry, you might think you're a peace-loving hippie, but you're giving the power to the government. That's going to make you more authoritarian. That's why Thomas Jefferson and them, they were libertarians when they passed that Bill of Rights. All right, I hate to say it because that's just who they were, and it was at that time or whatever. You can argue all you want, but arresting people is going to fall into these areas, all right? Or, for instance, pro-government. If you're on the right economically, and you're like a individualist authoritarian, that's what Hitler was. An individualist authoritarian. I'm an individualist. I'm a business owner. I'm an entrepreneur. I teach entrepreneurship. So that's gonna. My life experience has made me more of a individualist, but I'm also kind of compassionate to people who are down and out, and I don't think it's their fault. You know what I mean? I think I don't want to talk about myself, but you get the drift, right? So why did I post this? I posted this political video, and you can just, when you watch the video, you can kind of tell. I mean, I guess that's why I didn't lose any friends. It still says 5,000 friends because of that reason, because I like both you guys. Like, you know what I mean? I like some things about my right-wing guy, my MAGA friends, and then I like some things about my left-wing, the collectivist people. So I like the collectivist people, and I like the free market people. I just wish y'all weren't so authoritarian. If we're, tug of war of like, oh no, that should be illegal, that should be illegal, that should be illegal. That's why you're fighting, all right? And you got to realize that everyone has some libertarianism in them, okay? Everyone has some peace in them, like Dalai Lama, all right, or Nelson Mandela. Everyone has that type of, let's talk freedom, right? We all want freedom. Well, you can also say, this is freedom, all right? We can also say this is economic freedom over here, and this is more, you don't have economic freedom. We're gonna, but what would make the difference between authoritarian collectivism and anarchy collectivism? Well, how do you do anarchy collectivism, right? It's really called compassionate collectivism. All right, that's when it's like look up Dalai Lama, look up Gandhi, look up Nelson Mandela, look up Noam Chomsky, look up people like that. They're not that bad. All right, they're good peoples. And people on the right, Ayn Rand, Ron Paul, not as bad as you think. People on the left, authoritarian leftists, will be like, oh my God, Ayn Rand's a heartless pile of crap. Well, she would have a lot of problems with Hitler. So if you are down here, if you find yourself down here and you're into collectivism and you're down there, there's nothing wrong with you. You're a beautiful person. If you're over here, there's nothing wrong with you, okay? Well, not as much as up there. But unfortunately, a lot of our leaders and a lot of the people who are just totally like void of any empathy, they're going to end up in this either here or there. Okay, so I think our civil war will be fought between left in what you think is left and right, which is not true. Like this is if we were to put a microscope on these presidents here, and it's like football, and you might notice everyone says the same thing. If depending on if you're offense or defense, everyone shows lack of empathy on either side if you're offense or defense, right? And you'll agree with some things if you're looking at it from that perspective. If you're looking at it from that perspective, a perspective of freedom, whether you're into collectivism or if you're into individualism, you'll be looking at it. You gotta sometimes, if you want to see something, like are you gonna see something if you put it right up to your face, right? No, you will see it if you back off a little bit. All right, so back off a little bit and look at both sides. Here's another point. All right, have you ever met someone and you really like that person and you were hitting it off with that person until you talked politics? Everyone is a human being, all right? Everyone is a human being. Think about it. If we didn't have the propaganda mechanisms in place, do you think this would be happening, okay? Do you think everyone would be so upset with each other? So on a quick note, we talked a little bit about the differences between Ron Paul down here and George Bush, right? What were their differences? And what are the differences between, for instance, Jill Stein here, some Green Party people, right? Libertarians, and someone up here. What would the argument be like if they had a disagreement? If these two people, someone who voted for Jill Stein had an argument with this person here, and what would it be like someone down here, like Ron Paul, having an argument with someone who's really radical up there, close to Hitler, right? Or this person who's close to Stalin, close to communism, right? Because we know in our society we do have people who are Nazis, unapologetically Nazis. And then we have people who are unapologetically communists. So what would it be like? Well, I know I wasn't going to talk about myself, but I put myself probably right about there, or maybe a little bit more to the right or something like that, but down there. And I voted for Jill Stein. When I voted for Jill Stein, the MAGA people told me, oh my God, they were so embarrassed, and they were like, you voted for this woke woman. They called her woke, right? And that's because of her compassion towards people, a little bit more collectivist than others, like Ayn Rand, for instance. And so she was a little bit more compassionate. Of course, she's libertarian, so she's not going to be doing all of that authoritarian stuff and wanting to arrest people based on they're sagging their pants and authoritarian bullshit, right? But also, what's the argument why I would have, or someone who voted for Jill Stein, what would they have with someone up here, a communist? Well, these people up here, no matter if you're on the right or the left, you're going to be super radical, and the argument will be like, your gun rights are horrible, right? So gun rights and free market, that type of stuff. Down up here, nope, government take your guns, you're a criminal, and because you have a gun, maybe you get the drift. Yes, in communist societies they would take your guns, right? So when you're super radical, depending on the life experience, and life experience is a big one, because we all are going to be in different places, and it is totally fine because of our life experience. I'll give you another example. You ever seen the movie American History X? In that movie, the main character ends up there. He ends up near Hitler, all right? Because his father was killed. His life experience shifted him that way. Then he goes to prison, and he has another life experience there, a profound life experience in prison that sends him back to where he was, which was probably, somewhere in the middle or something kind of more normal, right? Watch that movie. People over here, they've lost financially. They've gotten their parents' house got stolen from a bank. They got ripped off by a bank or something like that. And because of all of these horrible financial things that have happened in their life, they are up here, right? That is what's going on. People are radicalized from their life experience and what they've seen. Also, when they go to these colleges, I hate to say it, these professors sometimes, the ideology is kind of powerful. And, it can happen on either side. The further you go up authoritarian, the more danger we're gonna get into. Like, I'm sure that people have probably watched some like Schindler's List or like The Pianist. And in a lot of those movies, you'll see. Remember, there's that one scene in The Pianist where the woman, sees the guy, the main character who's a Jew, and starts pointing and screaming at him and trying to get the police involved, and the Gestapo involved, and like carry him away. That shit's, whether you're on the left or you're on the right. Like, for instance, right now we're seeing these disgusting comments from people dancing and singing when at the event that just happened where Charlie Kirk was assassinated. Those are radical people. That's not the entire left, all right? Those are sick, radicalized people where their life experience has something's wrong with their life experience. Sociopaths are made, psychopaths are born, right? Have you ever heard that? So that's why I did this other video, and I was like, look, if you're celebrating the death of Charlie Kirk, you're a freaking psychopath. That's kind of where I got that from. All right, so thank you. I hope this video helped. I told you this will be it. All right, and I'm going back. I got like 5 music videos I did. I hope you guys like them, and I hope also that you found I tried my best. All right, so I hope that went over well. I don't think so, but I thought I would answer some questions ahead of time. All right, because of course it's all about friendly debate, hopefully. So the first question I'm probably going to get is, or the anger I'm probably going to receive and I'll do both. The left will say, how dare you say that Donald Trump is less, close to being a libertarian? That is totally false. He's like Hitler, etc. So the thing that makes Donald Trump more authoritarian than like Ron Paul is, of course, foreign policy, what he did, the Venezuela thing, of course, that makes him more authoritarian. Also, what makes him more authoritarian is pro-government, pro-police, pro-ICE, all of that stuff. So left-wing, Jesus, relax, okay? Now, for the right wing will be upset that I said that Nelson Mandela and all of the lefties, Noam Chomsky, were good people, all right? Look, you probably would agree with them better than Stalin, okay? There's probably also going to be people who are like upset I put Bernie in the authoritarian spectrum, okay? Look, Bernie is a little different than Gandhi and Dalai Lama. I'm sorry. Bernie is not Dalai Lama, all right? So again, he's not Stalin, so I'm sticking up for Bernie, okay? But everyone fits in there. All right, what are you proposing, that we would put these people outside of the box or something like that? No, everyone's going to fit in there, and I did the best I could. Look, I'll give Bernie a bit of a break. As you know, I did that video where I was talking about, guys, please, you're making a fool of yourselves as my fellow party of peace, all right? The 1960s, like, let's get people out of the Vietnam War. I love liberals for that, all right? Liberals are the peace, love, and harmony people, and I hate to see you guys. It's just so, it's really upset. That was what was really upsetting, and I'm sure that I think any retaliation we see from the right wing will be because of your comments rather than anything else. And so I had gone off on that type of thing. I looked up all my, I watch all the left-wing guys as well, and I watched Luke Beasley, I watched Bernie. They sounded identical to me. Bernie, holy shit. Like, so there's a lot of great things about Bernie, as we know. So what do you think? Me as a hyper freaking capitalist, individualist, fuck the communist type of guy, what do I have in common with Bernie? I have in common with Bernie that he's not Stalin and he's not Hitler. That's what I have in common. And that's the way you should look at it. You should look at the glass is half full. When you meet someone, you're going to have disagreements. All right? Me, again, I did a diss video about Bernie, about how he rails against, Jeff Bezos. And there's no solution. It's just like, it's ridiculous how this guy has all this money. Okay, and, and so I'll be like, all right, so let me guess. The rich people stole it, inherited it, or they cheated their way to it. It's not fair to tell young people that. Give them a route. Bernie, people don't teach business in school, and that's the same thing as a lot of the time in the inner cities. Like, it's not people's fault. There's huge control over all of us, and all these people are like, oh, that group of people has bad behavior, or that group of people, they're lazy. That's not fair. All right. So, but at the same time, I'm saying these messages where I'm like, it's like just peace, love, and harmony. And again, we need rules, we need laws. All right. But I will get so much, everyone hates me. When I talk, everyone freaking hates me because I'm not on their team. I'm not, you know what I mean? Like, I love you, but I can't join your cherry picked, like, it's all, and they're all contradictions. They're all hypocritical contradictions. If you join a team, you're like, oh no, like, what the probability of you having just identical issues, 50% of the population, the other 50% of the population having identical agreements on that side. It's manufactured. It's synthetic. The mass media, the media, the propaganda, and these talking heads, they're teams. So it's like team orientated. And if you see the chart, look, all I was trying to say with the chart, if you want, you can debate with me all you want and be like, yo, Thomas Jefferson, no way Thomas Jefferson was on the left. I know what you mean. But what you're saying is authoritarian, libertarian, right? And you're saying there's no way that Thomas Jefferson was with these, wealth distributors and with these people who want to equalize everything. He was an individual, all this stuff. He wants freedom. That's not collectivism. That's not Stalin. Absolutely. So that's the difference between him and Stalin. There's also a difference between him and Hitler. Thomas Jefferson was a fucking man. But what brings him a little bit more left is that, look, back then, he was like, yo, very careful about consolidation of power when it comes to banks and shit like that. So he's not going to be as right-wing as some people. But again, like, if you turn the post office into UPS or something like that, look, Pinochet, look him up in Chile. Again, I'm retarded, but Pinochet, look Pinochet up. Also, look up the alt-right cats who talking about how Pinochet was right and stuff. The left sucks. The left's the enemy of the state. This is all some petty, one-dimensional bullshit where it's not left and right. There's all these other freaking things. And, as long as we're not all authoritarian, I think our Bill of Rights keeps us all from being authoritarian. And that's why when people say things like, Kirk deserved it, because look at the problems. Look, we have the Bill of Rights. Even if he became president, he has to follow the Bill of Rights. And that's why all those presidents are in that one little area. Did you see any of our American presidents go towards Hitler or something like that, or towards Stalin? No, because we got the Bill of Rights. All right, the Bill of Rights in our system, the Congress, the Senate, and the Supreme Court keeps us there. It's very powerful. The Bill of Rights, the Constitution, and then the amendments are very, very powerful. And it's for the good of us. All right. So please, let's preserve the Bill of Rights. Again, let's compromise. You know what I mean? Anyway. All right. Thank you guys so much for listening. I'm sorry about this. I hope it was helpful. Maybe next time you see your neighbor, try to find, if you have this, oh my God, he's the worst person, this liberal, and you end up going to a party. And that dude you blocked on Facebook is at that party. Walk up to him and say, you could probably assume as well that he's got something in common with you. Sometimes you know, if someone's really on this authoritarian kick with me, like Kirk was on this authoritarian kick, but sometimes, you know, he would bring up stuff that has to do with libertarianism. And when he brought up stuff that had to do with libertarianism, I was like, my man. But when he would bring up stuff like you know, that's just very authoritarian, like having to do with law enforcement or something, like overzealous like power to the government, pro-government, let's trust the government. You know, we all don't agree with that, but we are conditioned to agree with that, right? If that makes sense. So anyway, thanks for listening. I'll see you guys. All right, bye.